on the line, you can't fold and you can't bend. Y'all be playing it safe and I be going for the win. Remember back when they was doubting on the kid. Now they tuned in cause my game too legit.
Fantasy headlines. Nation. Headliner Nation. Fantasy headlines for the nation. I'm a headliner. I'm a headliner.
Yeah. Analytics off the chain. All the channels not the same. Jake and Kyle, you know the name. Headliner Nation, we running the game. Y'all stuck on third down. Your content's plain Jane. Headliners on top now. We gonna move and change. Podcast off the rip. Draft guide, so legit. Fantasy world, our game tight. You know we about that Chubb life. Stuck in a rut and you need some motivation. Head to the channel for this Headliner Nation.
I'm a headliner.
What is going on, Headliner Nation? The time has come where we can talk about actual football that has happened that actually matters. So happy Monday night. We're going to be here for about another hour and a half or so leading into Monday Night Football. I mean, listen, we are getting so many comments on videos from so many people that have questions, right? A lot of people have questions. And we do this every single year, right? Because after week one, we always have shows about overreactions, about players not to worry about, slow starting studs, whatever it may be. And this year is going to be no different. Now, it obviously sucks that we've lost Jordan Love for a few weeks. Now we know about Puka. He's going on IR. That is not ideal, especially since the Rams have a week 6 bye. He probably won't be back until week 7. Now, no one should ever victory lap injuries, but I'm just hoping that a lot of people out there avoided drafting Puka this year because we had him so much lower in our rankings and kind of talked about the potential risks with him. Not injury related, just so happens to be what happened here this year, but hopefully a lot of people aren't hurt too much by that. But what is going on out in the chat? I mean, I want to know who all is here. And what do we want to talk about, right? Because a lot of people have a lot of questions, a lot of overreactions, and that's what this is meant for. This is a fantasy football therapy session for me to you. Now, Ricky already out there says Tua over Burrow, call of the week. Yeah, I had Burrow way low in the rankings, probably because he didn't have very many wide receivers, and the ones he did have, I mean, it did not look like Jamar Chase had really much interest in being out there. He was not happy post-game. Everybody saw that. So yeah, that one was fairly easy. Jaden Reed, the wide receiver 1 overall. I don't think anybody saw that coming. Obviously, we've loved Jaden Reed for a long time, but going into the season, who was the guy going to be? Christian Watson was healthy. They still had Romeo Doubs. Dontavian Wicks is still highly underrated. Josh Jacobs in the backfield. Some capable pass-catching tight ends. We had no idea where the targets were going to go. Well, Jaden Reed is still head and shoulders above everyone else. Unfortunately, now we got to deal with Malik Willis, and that is a problem. That is a huge problem in the Green Bay offense. The stock is up for Josh Jacobs, and I still believe that Jaden Reed will be the safest option out of all of them. Does that mean he's a great option? Probably nowhere near what we saw this week, but the way they manufacture touches for him, get him the ball on the ground as well, is definitely a plus. That could definitely help for sure. See, OEG mixing with 33 touches. How much did we talk about Joe Mixon? Why are so many people off the Joe Mixon bandwagon? Dude goes out there now and everybody's like, I should have drafted Joe Mixon. It's exactly right. Is it time to drop Wicks? Matt, I guess it depends on if you have an immediate need. If you don't have an immediate need, then no, keep him on the bottom of your bench. Neighbors is not a dud. Daniel Jones is a dud. Another player. We told everyone all offseason long, don't draft Malik Neighbors because he's tied to Daniel Jones. Daniel Jones has thrown more pick sixes than he has touchdowns since he's gotten paid. That's a problem. What about Marvin Harrison? Great question. He's on the thumbnail, right? People got questions about Marvin. If you go back and watch the film on Marvin Harrison Jr., this was not a Marvin Harrison Jr. problem. This was a Kyler Murray problem. There were multiple times yesterday where Marvin Harrison was running by himself. Dude is basically doing wind sprints alone on the field at times, and Kyler just didn't see him. He didn't look his way. He was laser focused on Greg Dortch or Trey McBride in those short little underneath routes. That's going to have to change. If everybody on earth notices it, you have to expect the Cardinals are going to try to right the ship here in the coming weeks for sure. Kincaid, Jose, great question on Kincaid. He may be the biggest surprise for me in week one. I expected Dalton Kincaid to get maybe not a ton of yardage, but be looked at in the red zone and definitely rack up some receptions underneath to keep the chains moving. And Dawson Knox apparently was the tight end one. Yes, I mean, that's not going to stay either. Obviously, we're going to get more Dalton Kincaid, but what we saw in week one was not great, for sure. Benny from Boston, Marvin Harrison Jr. let you down. Yeah, I know. So trust me, I have Marvin Harrison Jr. myself in a few leagues, and I was severely let down, but just keep your hopes up. It's not a Marvin Harrison Jr. It's not he couldn't get open. He was plenty open. Kyler's just going to have to start looking that way a little bit more. Normal SpongeBob says, my tight ends are Pat Freiermuth and Jawan Johnson. How much fab do I spend on Likely? I don't dislike Patty F this year. Now, do I think the ceiling is higher of Isaiah Likely? Yes, I do. But I'm not probably going any higher than like 30% or so of your fab budget. It really depends, like, what is that total going to be? What is the bidding usually like in your leagues? Do people go super crazy early on in the year? Do you have to kind of bid up a little bit? I'm not going to go absolutely nuts. I don't think I go over. My max would probably be like 40%, being that you still have a startable tight end in Pat Freiermuth. Watson is trash. We've been saying Watson is washed for 2.5 years now, so that's not any news around here. Mostert might be done. No, Mostert's not done. Devon Achane already dealing with a back injury. That's something to pay attention to. I mean, if the guy can't stay healthy and on the field, we're still going to see Raheem Mostert. Now, a lot of people say, what about Jalen Wright? He was a healthy scratch. We didn't draft Jalen Wright to be startable anytime to start the season. Jalen Wright is on the bench, so when we lose Raheem Mostert or Devon Achane for a long period of time, we're going to see a lot more Jalen Wright at that point. So he is a lottery ticket stash. He is not someone that we're even remotely thinking about for the near future until we lose somebody for a long period of time in Miami. Let me go back over here before I get too far behind. Football is life, says full PPR. Marvin Harrison Jr., Rice Monty for Amon-Ra and Ayuk. I'm taking the Marvin Harrison Jr., Rice, and Monty side of that, if that's a trade that you're asking me. I'm keeping that side. Tan fam, I have a problem. Drafted Cup, Flowers, Rice, Evans, and Garrett Wilson, all thanks to your cheat sheets. Yeah, some people out there with some banger teams, that's for sure. Now I don't know who to start. At least you have options, right? There's some people out there starting players that should not even remotely be considered this early in the season. So the fact that, Tan, you got, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 studs, it's basically like a win for you. You know what I mean? But play matchups, right? We're playing matchups here as much as we possibly can. Travis Knott, I have Love in a Superflex league. Waivers only have Willis, Darnold, Jones, and Young. What the hell do I do? Right now, you cross every finger you have. You pray to the fantasy gods, Travis. And if I had to pick one of those, it's Sam Darnold. Focus here. I am not. And I don't even care if I get this miserably wrong at some point this season. I am not starting Bryce Young or Daniel Jones, like, ever. I'm just not doing it. I would rather start my 13-year-old daughter at quarterback than either one of those guys in fantasy football. I just can't do it. Mark Seif, what's going on? Mark, what's going on with McLaurin? Not even a factor. Yeah, he was a huge piece of, never mind. He was a disappointment in week 1. And honestly, it was surprising because the game script showed that he should have gotten a large amount of volume, but really similar to Marvin Harrison Jr. Maybe even more so in this case. That was Jaden Daniels' first ever NFL start. You could tell that the speed of the game kind of got to him at times, and he kind of panicked, he tucked the ball, and he ran a lot, which is great for fantasy purposes, but is not going to help Terry McLaurin develop those deeper routes down the field. And I got a lot of flack from people last week because I said in my rankings video that Jaden Daniels was one of the best deep ball throwing quarterbacks in the NFL. People came back with the smart-ass comments of, he's never even thrown a pass in the NFL. And then they watch the game and are like, well, see, that is a lack of football knowledge. Because if you can actually watch tape of a player, it may not translate into a game, but the guy can deliver the ball deep. He throws a very catchable deep ball. And that has been proven all over tape everywhere. So I can say that with confidence. He is a great deep ball passer. Some guys don't have the arm strength. They just can't deliver a clean, catchable ball. Jaden Daniels can. He just needs to have more time in the pocket, let those routes develop, and really get through his progressions and find Terry McLaurin down the field. What else do we got? Any chance Garrett Wilson gets you 26 points tonight? Not feeling great. Thanks, MH. Kenny, is there any chance? Hell yeah, there's always a chance. Is it a good chance? I don't know, Kenny. I wouldn't say it's a good chance, but there's definitely a chance that happens. I'll be thinking about you during the game, for sure. Anthony Richardson is him. Who out there, by a show of hands? I need to see a hand emoji in the chat. Did you actually see the bomb that Anthony Richardson delivered off of his back foot while having pressure in his face? People do not understand how difficult that throw was. I went 6 to midnight in a heartbeat. That ball, that was next level right there. That's what people want to see. Now, obviously, he's not throwing the ball a ton in that offense, and that's going to make Michael Pittman Jr. a little bit inconsistent. However, he's got nowhere to go but up, and he can definitely push the ball down the field for sure. We got Nick. I'm going the tight end streaming route this year. Had Juwan Johnson this week. Luckily, hey, we got a hand clap for Nick out there starting a tight end who actually scored a tutty. Luckily, let's see. I'm thinking Parkinson from LA since Nakua is on IR. Any alternate choices? Honestly, I kind of like Parkinson now that we know that we're not going to have Puka. Parkinson had a nice little role, and now he's got a better matchup next week. I believe he's got Arizona next week, which is definitely something where I would look Parkinson's way. I know that the waiver wire video came out today. Everybody's going after Isaiah Likely. Mike Gesicki is still a lottery ticket tight end, right? It looks like T. Higgins is probably not going to play again. Jamar Chase is going to play, but he's not going to look like he wants to be out there. Joe Burrow's timing is off, and Mike Gesicki was like yay far away from having a huge touchdown reception. He just didn't control the ball through the catch in the end zone, and it turned a big play into a nothing. Had he caught that, we're probably looking at the tight end overall 3 on the week, so I'm still kind of looking at Mike Gesicki as well. Red Hulk saw a lot of Bigsby yesterday. Will he be a problem moving forward for ETN owners? I don't think it's a problem. Almost every time he was on the field, he touched the football, which is really weird because if you keep that kind of trend, opposing defenses are going to know that if he's on the field, he's probably getting the football, and they can game plan for that a little bit. So you have to think one of two things is going to happen. Either he's going to get less touches going forward, still be on the field, or he's going to start getting a lot more snaps. That's a problem. That would be a problem. However, once we get to the goal line, it's still Travis Etienne. Once we have some of that early down work, it's still going to be Travis Etienne getting the bulk of things. He needs to hang on to the damn football, that's for sure, because had he actually hung on to the football and not fumbled it into the end zone here this week, he would have had an even bigger day, and we wouldn't even be talking about Tank Bigsby. So don't forget about those little details right there. You mean Stroud instead of Young? Oh, you're probably talking to somebody else, not me. All right, let's see here. Chris R, drop Chase Brown for tight end. Your backup to back up Sam Laporta. No, absolutely not. Keep Chase Brown. You don't need a backup tight end if you still have Sam Laporta. So no, keep the high upside running back, because running backs are a lot harder to find than tight ends. And then we got Tim, league mates on your wide receivers and outscored everyone else. Evans, Neighbors, Pickens. Should I be okay or make moves? I think you're still okay. Like, honestly, I started off the show by saying I'm not too excited about Malik Neighbors, and it has nothing to do with being Malik Neighbors, right? And we talked about this all offseason, I believe, and remind me if I'm wrong here, chat, but I remember during the draft season, I even said, as an Arizona, quotation fingers, as an Arizona Cardinals fan, I am fine with Malik Neighbors over Marvin Harrison Jr. That's how much I love the talent. But as soon as he went to the Giants, I lost all interest for now, because Daniel Jones is not him. He's not. And as long as he's under center, and they've already recommitted to him again today, is he going to get volume? Yeah, targets are great, but if they're not catchable, who gives a crap? You know what I mean? Like, that's kind of where we got to be right now. I don't think you're going to be able to sell Neighbors to anybody. If you can, I try to. I just don't know if your league mates are going to give you anything of decent value for it. I mean, this is like a situation where I try to say, man, getting a Chris Godwin or something, but you already have Evans, so that wouldn't really make a whole lot of sense. Also, Tim, that was your 20th super chat, man. I greatly appreciate that support. Gavin Diaz says 10-team half PPR. I have Lamar, Brees, Mixon, Marvin Harrison Jr., Puka McBride, Rice, Brian Thomas. Is that Brian Thomas Jr.? I'm guessing. And B-Rob just got Pittman for Kirk and Watson. Should I go for an elite receiver or any moves you'd recommend? Thanks for all you do. All right, you're fine at running back. You're fine at quarterback. Marvin Harrison, Puka, that's a problem. You still got Rice and Brian Thomas Jr., and you just got Pittman. Do you need to make a move? No. I'm not making a move, because if you make a move right now, you're going to have to give away a piece that still has quite a bit of value. So it's going to be more of a lateral move than a win, so I'm going to go ahead and hold off there for sure. Yeah, don't be worried. Please don't be worried about Marvin Harrison Jr. Mike out there, Mike Kellner, hey, 748 people watching and only 115 likes. Come on. If you're going to do anything today, don't disappoint Mike. It's a Monday. Mike's probably had a day. Just help Mike out. Neighbors for Marvin Harrison Jr. If I had to take one rest of season, it's still Marvin Harrison. Sorry, not sorry. Evan Ingram. Yeah, Evan Ingram was a disappointment as well. Brian Thomas Jr. is really good at football, and he's going to be looked at deep down the field, but I'm not overly concerned yet with Evan Ingram. He still should be one of their leaders in targets each and every week, so I'm not too worried just yet. We got Matt Wright, quick fantasy break. Jake, how the hell are you today? Matt, you know what? I appreciate you asking, Matt. Today is good. I got 5 hours of sleep last night, which is great. That's sarcastic, by the way. Woke up, did the waiver wire video. Who out there has checked out the waiver wire video yet? Taylor works here, and he even forgot to like the video. Well, I appreciate you liking it now, Taylor. So I did the waiver wire video. Tried a slightly different way of doing the waiver wire video this year. Let me know if you like it or not. Kind of went through some injuries first and kind of what we learned in the week, and then went into the waiver wire. So let me know if you enjoyed it that way or not. But Matt, overall, pretty solid day. Went to Home Depot afterwards. Got some grass seed. Going to be putting some seed down here in the next coming days. So, just one of the days. I appreciate you, though, giving me a little bit of a break there. Walter John. Speaking of 6 to midnight, that's what happens when I saw the live notification. That's what I'm talking about. AR is absolutely stud, and I'm going to need more towels to clean up the mess. Walter John. I mean, Anthony Richardson is very easy to figure out. I feel like when it comes to fantasy football, is he going to be an elite passer racking up 300-400 yard games? Probably not. Is he going to be a top 5 fantasy quarterback every season that he's healthy? 110%. Like, that's just going to be what it is. If he's healthy, he's scoring fantasy points. So absolutely love that. Let's see. Jason Quinones says Mahomes, Barkley, Achan, St. Brown, Cup, Dell, Kelsey, Jones, Bears D, no one really on my bench. Week 1 victory, hell yeah. Trade ideas, or am I okay? Also, Cup remains wide receiver 1 for the Rams when Puka returns. If Cup is healthy, Cup is the man in LA. He was even last year. When he was on the field with Puka and Demarcus Robinson, he was still leading the team in targets. So as much as a lot of people gravitate towards the young, new, shiny toy in Puka, when Cup is healthy, Cup is the man to Matthew Stafford. So do we need to make any moves? Is that what you said? Trades? No. I mean, you're not going to trade away anybody that you currently have because you're not going to get anything in return. Tank Dell was a disappointment for the most part. Everybody said Stephon Diggs was washed in the offseason. They lied. Aaron Jones was well. Travis Kelce, a lot of people off the Travis Kelce bandwagon, myself included. So I'm just going to hold off for right now. You got the win. No need to fix what's not broken, Jason. James, I have Walker and Metcalf. Should I trade Metcalf? Trade for Barkley. Traded for Barkley before week 1, gave up Kirk, Kelsey, and Ford. I feel like I stole him after week 1. That's for sure. I mean, if you gave up Kirk, Kelsey, and Ford to get Barkley, as long as you have another tight end with a pulse, you probably did just fine. And should you trade Metcalf? No. Can anybody tell me? I will give you a shout out in the chat right now. What was the main reason for DK Metcalf struggling in week 1? We even mentioned it in the rankings video last week. What was it? Come on. Who's got it? I'm waiting. Somebody out there is going to be super fat. There it is. HM. Patrick Surtain is a problem. Dude got paid. Dude was on DK. I mean, Patrick Surtain is a shutdown corner in the NFL. I mean, that's just the way it is. I was hoping for maybe one more big play that would have given him a decent floor. Just didn't do it, right? Just could not do it. We had a long touchdown late in the game to Zach Charbonnet. So yeah, I'm not worried about DK yet. I'm still holding on to him. Geno Smith actually looked better this week than he did last year. So that is a positive sign going forward. Alex Rodriguez, not the baseball player. Maybe the baseball player. Don't really know. I appreciate you though, Alex, for sure. I lost Puka, Love in a full PPR. Man, that's a rough week. If you lose Puka and Love in the same week, I have London, Christian Kirk, Mike Williams, Xavier Leggett, Josh Palmer. I have Hall, White, and Ramondre Stevenson. Pollard, any moves you recommend? Baker Mayfield is out there. My league mates stash quarterbacks. Baker Mayfield was my top quarterback pickup on the waiver wire today. Having Chris Godwin in the slot is a cheat code for Baker Mayfield because it can bail him out in a heartbeat. We still have Mike Evans scoring touchdowns, getting the deep ball, Chris Godwin moving the chain. We got Jalen McMillan wide open all over the field. I mean, I'm going Baker Mayfield there to replace Jordan Love. As for Puka, you got London. He was a disappointment. Kirk was a disappointment. Mike Williams, we'll see tonight. Leggett, at least he got a huge target share, and they're always going to be losing in Carolina, so that's not a bad thing. Josh Palmer, I think he had more punches thrown than receptions yesterday, so that's a little bit of a concern for sure. You do need another wide receiver. I don't know if you have anyone out there on waivers. If you do, that's actually worth starting. Maybe we see what happens with Mike Williams tonight. If Mike Williams isn't even a part of the game plan, then we can kind of move forward from there. We got Sir Rohu, Boo, Answer Me, I donated. Everybody I'm reading donated. So you can either be patient or I'll just skip over you altogether because we're all about positive vibes here. Anyway, the next guy on the list just happens to be Sir Rohu. See, had you just waited a second, I would have gotten to you. PPR, I have Waddle. Someone offered me Marvin Harrison Jr. I don't know. Help. Okay. If you have Waddle, who's already a consistent producer, they offered you Marvin Harrison Jr., who probably has a higher overall season ceiling, but has a lot more risk involved. So if you have a stud wide receiver right now, then you can probably afford to take a little bit of a risk. But if it's me, if it's my team, Jalen Waddle looked just fine in week 1, and I don't know if I'm ready to move on from him for Marvin Harrison Jr. because Jalen Waddle himself still has top 12 upside. You know what I mean? So it's not like we're really trading away a guy who's maybe verge top 20 to get a guy that has that top 12 potential. They're both top 12 potential. So honestly, Right now, I'm probably just keeping Waddle. Let's see, what else do we have here? G-Money becoming a member for 34 months. Juwan Johnson or Parkinson in standard. This week, I'm going with Parkinson. Give me some Colby Parkinson here this week. We got Ricky. Drop Chase Brown for J.K. Dobbins. Ricky, if you need somebody this week, then yes, because it's a great matchup for J.K. Dobbins this week. But if this is just a long-term stash, I'm keeping Chase Brown because J.K. Dobbins has had every injury in the book. And I honestly don't know if he's going to be able to hold up for an entire season. The guy couldn't make it all the way down the field, right? I mean, he had a big-time play, and he didn't just drop a gear. Dude, dumped the transmission. I mean, he was just he went from 60 to 12. You know what I mean? He was speeding through a school zone, saw a cop up ahead, and slammed on the brakes. That's what happened with that big-time run. And he got 10 touches, 135 yards. I don't know. Let me think here. Has there ever been a running back in football to average 10 yards per carry for a season? No, there isn't. There hasn't been. So if that number comes down to a respectable still 5 yards per carry, if he's only getting 10 to 12 carries a game, do we want to start somebody that's going to have 50 or 60 total yards and have to split the touchdown opportunities with Gus Edwards and the pass catching weapons in that offense? So that's kind of where I'm at with J.K. Dobbins. J.K. 3 legs? Listen, movers, I don't know what you know about him, but that's on you guys. Peter NYC. Hey, Jake, nice to be back in the fantasy world. Is CMC ready to go tonight? And should I do something crazy by starting Jordan Mason? Do not start Jordan Mason. We're firing up Christian McCaffrey. We are, if he's playing, he's starting. Because if you did that and he goes out and has a normal Christian McCaffrey day, you are going to want to quit fantasy football forever. So no, absolutely not. Appreciate you though, Peter. Mark C says, Goff, Taylor, Hall, Rice, Adams, Ferguson, McLaurin, Moore, Lawrence in a PPR 14-team super flexer. Should I panic hoping to get Dortch and Parkinson? How much fab? I don't know if you're going to have to dump a ton of fab on either one of them. I don't know how many teams in your league need a tight end, but I don't expect Colby Parkinson to really be the top guy they go after, so you may be able to get him on the cheap. Greg Dortch, because he got some target shares and he had some off-season hype, may require 10%, between 10 and 15% or so. Should you panic right now, though? Absolutely not. Way too early to panic. They've got a lot of studs on that roster that can put up some big-time numbers. I mean, DJ Moore, I was low on DJ Moore all offseason, but now Keenan Allen and Rome Odunze are dealing with some sort of an injury, so that could definitely boost the value of DJ Moore all of a sudden as well. So better days are coming for sure. How am I feeling about Ferguson radioactive? I've got everything I have crossed that he can come back sooner rather than later. I'm just hoping that when he comes back, he's not so limited that we start him and just get disappointed weekly. So I'm hoping he can get back to full health here pretty quick. X, becoming a member for 7 months, 10 teams, non-PPR. Richardson, Bijan, Mixon, Mike Evans, Pittman, Kincaid, Josh Jacobs on my bench, Rashee Rice, Warren, Khalil Shakir, Shaheed, and Palmer. Overall, it's a solid team. I don't see a question here, but this is just your team. In a standard type format, though, having guys like Mike Evans and Joe Mixon and Bijan Robinson, Josh Jacobs, that's a great lineup to have right there in the standard league. A lot of touchdowns to go around. Mr. TD, how is your AR collection? I don't have an Anthony. Are you talking about Anthony Richardson? I don't have an Anthony Richardson collection. I have some Anthony Richardson cards, but I do not have a collection. Was likely legit or script based, Matthew? He's legit. Is he legit going to go out there and get 111 yards a week and multiple touchdowns? Probably not. I mean, that's not something we can count on every single week at all. Is he going to be better than most of the tight ends we saw in fantasy football this week? He's going to have an opportunity to go out there and get you right around 10 points a week, which is not something we can say for a lot of tight ends right now. Matt, you like that with the Shaheed? Man, I love myself some Shaheed. All right, Terry Hudak Terry in this chat. He says, hey, Jake, what week do you think the studs are going to show up and play some football? Pretty bad when my defense is my top scorer on the week. Really depends how many points your defense scored, for sure. I say this all the time. I give it till week 4, right? Because most of these studs didn't play much in the preseason, which means the first 3 weeks of the season is their preseason, and that's where some of the kinks get worked out. If by week 4, like going into week 4, it is straight struggle bus, then we got to start making some decisions. Put the tiny helmet on. Dude, I wore the tiny helmet for a lot on Saturday night. I don't even know if my brain's recovered yet. My vision was getting blurry. Rosetown Romper. Love is my quarterback 1 with Watson on the bench. Ouch, that sucks. Should I drop Watson for Fields or Carr? Is that just swap trash for garbage? Thank you. No. Anything is better than Deshaun Watson at this point. If I had to go between Fields and Carr, though, give me Derek Carr. He looked pretty good, right? He looked decent. Now, obviously, matchup plays a part, but give me Carr over Fields. John Mitnevich. John, I just love, I think you did this last year. I love how you put the pronunciation of your name in your actual like profile there. That right there is next level. And thank you so much, sir. Welcome to Holden Chubb. My IT guy. Member for 7 months. Appreciate you. Superflex PPR. I have Purdy, CMC, Monty Stevenson, Nico, Debo, Ayuk, Mike Evans, Fergie, Gino, Aaron Rodgers, Jalen Wright, Antonio Gibson, Jordan Mason, Rashid Shaheed, Jerry Jeudy. Holy largest roster ever. And Chubb on IR. What moves should I make? Thank you. All right. Well, you got quarterbacks, so you're good there. You're stacked at running back, you're good. Your wide receivers, don't really love having Debo and Ayuk. Honestly, if one of them can have a really good game tonight, I try to see if I can flip them for some sort of a tight end upgrade since Jake Ferguson is hurt now. But don't give them away by any means. Just kind of see what you can get in return. But other than that, team is stacked. You're gonna be just fine for sure. What do I think about Pittman, Cody? I don't think they threw the ball enough. Is it just me? I'm pretty sure, didn't they only throw the ball like 19 times in Indianapolis yesterday? That's a problem because when you have a wide receiver that you want to get 10 targets, that's like 50% of the target share. More than 50%. Don't make me do math right now. It's been a long day. But that's not going to happen. We need Anthony Richardson to get up in the 30s if we want to have Michael Pittman really be a thing. So is it going to happen? Probably more so as the season goes on. Is it going to be consistently from week to week? Probably not. Kind of why we had Michael Pittman a little bit lower in our rankings here this year. Just call me Dom. What's going on, Dom? 12-team PPR, Brees, Henry, Achan, Rice, London, Higgins, Bauer, Singletary, Hawk, and Brian Thomas Jr. What's a realistic trade to upgrade my wide receivers? Stay blessed. Honestly, these questions are so hard to answer because what you need to do is go to your league. Look through all the teams in your league and find out who has a tight end that is expendable. If they have somebody on their bench that they're not even starting, that you can go in there and say, hey, what can I do? And actually you said a wide receiver, right? I don't know, where'd I get tight end from? I don't know. It's like a brain fart, but at least I caught it before I went too deep into my questioning. So a wide receiver upgrade. Okay, let me just rewind. Okay, so you have Bowers, you're good at tight end. So you need a wide receiver because London sucked balls. We had T. Higgins, who's hurt. Rashee Rice looked pretty damn good. And then you got Brian Thomas Jr., which is definitely a plus for sure. The problem is, what are you going to trade? If it's me, you have Brees, Henry, and Achan. So could you trade one of them? I would probably trade Devon Achan if it's me. Personally, I think you can get the most for him right now, and he's got the highest injury risk of all of them. You could probably get something great in return. What is that going to be? It's still the same premise, right? You got to go to the other teams in your league. You got to see who has those expendable wide receivers on the bench. You have to find out what level tier are those wide receivers, because then you're going to know what you can offer. Do I want to trade Devon Achan right now? Probably not. I love having him as your running back 3. But if you can get in return maybe a 2-for-1, a mid-tier, a top 15 wide receiver, a top 15 to 20 wide receiver, and maybe a bench stash as well, that's something I pay attention to. Big route. Should I avoid Chargers receivers going forward? Probably for the most part. I mean, it's going to be so hard each week knowing which guy it's going to be. I mean, I guess if we had to choose one right now, it looks like it's going to be McConkey, but I don't know if we can trust that every week either. He's not going to score a touchdown every week. A Chan for St. Brown. I mean, if the dude can do that, if he if the St. Brown owner is panicking, I am not giving up right now on Amon-Ra St. Brown. Next up, we had LMB. What's up? Full PPR. Drop Schultzers for Likely off waivers. Only room for one tight end. If you can get Isaiah Likely and drop Dalton Schultz, I do that for sure. Dom, appreciate you. Derek Childress, should I take Rashee Rice for DJ Moore or Jamar Chase? So I take it you have both DJ Moore and Jamar Chase right now. I'm not doing it with DJ Moore for the simple fact that now we know there's an injury to Keenan Allen and Rome Odunze. So I'm not doing that with DJ Moore. And Jamar Chase, even though he is a super headache right now, I don't think I want to take that on and lose out. Oh, man, that is tough. I wish I knew who your starting wide receivers were. You know what I mean? Because if Rashee Rice is your wide receiver 3 on your roster right now, and you can go get a DJ Moore or a Jamar Chase to have them be your third option, I mean, that could be next level. Personally, I take DJ Moore over Chase right this second, but it really depends who your other wide receivers are. For some crazy reason, Rashee Rice is like your wide receiver 1, then we have different conversations. But yeah, if you can get one of those guys, I'm not opposed to it for the rest of the season. Plus, we also know that there's a chance we don't have Rashee Rice after week, 14, I believe. James, rate my squad. No tight end, extra flex. Love that. Half PPR. Murray, Taylor, Jacobs, Walker, Jefferson, Rice, Metcalf. On the bench, you got Kirk, Robinson, Watson, Pitts, Braylon Allen. IR spots, Mitchell, Pearsall. I like that. I mean, overall, super solid. I don't see much. I mean, having Taylor, Jacobs, and Kenneth Walker, love that. Still having Justin Jefferson, Rice, Metcalf. I don't know if I love having both Christian Kirk. Oh, it's Brian Robinson Jr., so you're good there. Yeah, man, overall, that's a solid A roster right there. You have depth at all positions. You should be able to withstand the fantasy gods this year, for sure. Can someone tell me if I should drop Jalen Polk for Allen Pierce? Anaya, it's kind of a lateral move, right? If it's me, personally, I'm not. I'm just holding on for right now and just holding on to Jalen Polk. Alec Pierce got a big-time play, but it's not something we can count on because eventually Josh Downs is going to come back in the coming weeks, and he's going to lose a lot of value as Alec Pierce. Terry Hudak says 23 points by Dub Bears. Hey, that's a great point scoring there for your defense for sure. The Ron says, please pick 5 for week 2. Man, I haven't done any week 2 research yet. The Ron, I mean, I did my waiver wire stuff, but we haven't dived into any matchup-based stuff yet. On the surface, between Kamara, Etienne, Stevenson, Ayuk, Chase, and Pittman, on the surface, right now I'm going Kamara and Etienne. Now, that could sway a little bit after what we see tonight from Ayuk and see if he's limited at all, if he's on any type of snap count. I mean, Chase, obviously, if he gets paid over the coming days, he could be somebody who he's going to be a lot happier if he's got a fat stack of cash. So right now on the surface, that's what I'm saying. Renegade Fury, appreciate you out there. Eric Munoz, full PPR. Running backs are Bijan, Pollard, Dobbins, Mostert, Warren. Running backs are Evans, Kupp, Debo, DK, Rice, Kyler. As your quarterback, Kincaid at tight end. Thoughts? Need to make any moves for a running back? No, I'm not making any moves yet because if you have to give something up, the only thing I would maybe consider is I would shop Rice. Debo's going to kind of depend on tonight, right? Because DK's value is going to be down because people are just going to go look at his box score and be like, oh no, he had a horrible game. I'm not trading for him, which is stupid thinking, but a lot of people do that. So being that Rice is your wide receiver 5, I shop him out there and just see what you can get in return at the running back position. Go to some guys that have multiple, running backs and you have a need at wide receiver and see if you can swing a deal. Jason Lynn, right now, yes. Right now. Rest of season, I mean, I would have thought, I have no idea why the Bengals haven't paid Chase yet. And the fact that they haven't paid him yet and have gotten themselves in this situation is enough for me to not really want to trust the organization to do the right thing. And we've already seen that Chase can go out and not exactly play at 100% I mean, he was already calling out his coach after the game. They want to know why he didn't get more volume. He said, go ask Zach. I mean, that's not what you want in your locker room, and I don't know if I want those headaches. Like I said a couple minutes ago on the stream, positive vibes only. Anyway, let's see what we got here. Omar Kalimba, becoming a member of Holden Chubb. Appreciate you. Christian Campos, I appreciate you out there as well. Hey, Jake, half PPR. I have Lamar, Flowers, Godwin, Jacobs, Bixon, Kincaid, Brees Hall, Kyron, benched, Keenan Allen, Corum, Ferguson, Caleb Williams. Do I need to add depth at wide receiver? I was planning on dropping Caleb for Stafford or Baker. Okay, I don't mind that move right there. Being that you have Flowers and Godwin, Keenan Allen banged up now, you do need some wide receiver depth. If there's any wide receivers right now that are available on waivers, I'm not going to pick up another quarterback in a one quarterback league, Christian. I'm going to drop Caleb Williams and try to add another wide receiver and see if I can find somebody that pops off, personally. AP Zibby. I don't know. I've seen quite a few of them here today that I've been reading off. I haven't heard anything else about it, but I know I've read off quite a few of them here just on this stream today. Let's see. Next, we got Anthony B, 12-team PPR, Superflex, 6-point passing touchdowns, 2 running backs, 2 wide receivers, a tight end, a flex. Quarterbacks are Cousins and Stafford. Okay. Wish Cousins looked a little bit better. He looked bad. Hall, Henry, B-Rob, Chase Brown, Ty Chandler, then Olave, London, Waddle, Lockett, and Leggett. And then tight ends are Ferguson. Any suggestions? Well, you're going to need another tight end as of right now. So you're probably going to have to drop somebody in order to fill that hole of Jake Ferguson potentially. It's going to be between Ty Chandler and probably... this is probably a little bit crazy. Probably Tyler Lockett or Ty Chandler. You're going to have to swap out and get a tight end unless you have some IR spots. If you have some IR spots, then all of a sudden maybe we can make some moves with that. But that's really the only thing I see on the surface is we're going to have to figure out the tight end position with Ferguson's injury. Richard Ellis, will Cousins improve? Should I trade London? Cousins will improve. Obviously, it's his first full game coming off a torn Achilles. You have to expect a little bit of rust there. Should you trade London? It's just the wrong time to trade him. You know what I mean? Because his value took an absolute hit. It's like buying something at the store at full price and then going and having it go on like clearance and going back and returning it and getting only the clearance price for it. Like, it's not something you, at that point, you're like, screw it, I'll just keep it. You know what I mean? And that's kind of where we are right this second with Drake London. Can't do it yet. Jason Dale becoming a member for 37 months. What's going on, Jason? Bajin Moo, PPR. Should I trade Reed Gibbs for CMC? Jaden Reed and Jahmyr Gibbs for CMC. I currently have Saquon and Ford as well. How much of a risk do you want to take week 1 of the season? Because right now, I say probably not. However, that's only because CMC hasn't played this week. We know he had a calf strain this offseason. Is he going to be limited? Is he going to have some type of re-aggravation early in the year? Could you have to deal with that if you make a trade for him right now? That's the biggest question. On the surface, I'm sure because you have Jaden Reed, he's probably your wide receiver 4 on your roster, which really isn't a big loss there. So you're basically swapping Gibbs for CMC. If you want to play it safer, I keep Reed and Gibbs. If you want to gamble, and it's a big gamble right now, then that's when you make a trade for CMC. It's just, it could backfire tonight, literally. Juan Lopez, I have Gabe Davis and Curtis Samuel. Who should I drop for Greg Dirt? It's Greg Dortch. Big Dortch energy there, Juan. For bench depth, I mean, honestly, I'm okay with dropping either one of them. I'm probably personally going to drop, if I had to choose between those two, I'm probably dropping Gabe Davis just because he's not going to be a volume guy. He's very touchdown dependent. Curtis Samuel's not 100% healthy, but he should see more volume the healthier he gets in that offense, which did not look great at times yesterday, for sure. Dennis McCullough, rate my team. I have Purdy, CMC, Montgomery, Nakua, Kupp, Laporta, Mike Evans, Zamir White, and the Miami defense. On the bench, you got Elliott, Eckler, Pollard, Reed, and Sutton. Love that team overall. You have depth everywhere. I don't know if I would have drafted both Puka and Cooper Kupp. I mean, it helps you now that Puka is hurt, but you're never really going to want to start both of them when they are healthy. So that's a little bit of a concern because now you can't really trade Puka because nobody's going to want a guy who's not going to play for like 5 weeks. So overall, the team is solid. You got a lot of great players. The wide receiver situation may be a little bit iffy until Puka comes back. Anthony Denicola, somebody just offered me Jamar Chase for Godwin and Tony Pollard. Godwin's probably your wide receiver 3 at best, I'm guessing. Maybe even your wide receiver 4. Tony Pollard's probably your running back 3. Maybe your running back 4 on your roster there as well. If you're happy with the guys you have in your starting lineup and you're not overly reliant on Godwin and Pollard, you have an opportunity to take that risk right now and buy low on Jamar Chase. That's one of those situations that I would do it if you have them as depth pieces right now. What should you do with Marvin Harrison at BK? Have it your way. My dog is pissed right now. Chubb out there going to attack something. What should you do? You're holding on to him. Don't panic yet on Marvin Harrison Jr. Don't panic just yet. Omar Kalimba, huge fan. Man, I appreciate you, Omar. Says, as you know, Puka is hurt. I missed on Scary Terry. Double flex league. I have Cook, Ford, Hall, Jacobs, and Monty. Who should I trade and who should I target? Man, these questions are almost impossible to figure out because we don't know what type of options they have on other teams. I mean, yes, with Scary Terry underperforming and now Puka hurt, you could use some help, but I don't want to trade James Cook, Breece Hall, Josh Jacobs, or Monty, really, unless you can get something big in return. So go look at other teams in your league. Find some that have depth at wide receiver. And then let's see what quality of wide receiver that is. And then we can kind of gauge what quality of wide or running back do we want to offer. Because we're not going to be offering a tier 1 running back for a tier 3 wide receiver just to get depth. So we really need to kind of see who is available out there first. Do I watch every game fully or just Red Zone? I watch Red Zone on Sunday, and then Sunday night, Monday morning, I go through and watch all 22 films. Obviously, I can't watch every minute of every game, but I'm trying to find certain things on certain players that I'm researching at that time. There's no way I can watch every minute of every game and still have a video out on Monday, but I can definitely do it for those of the people that I'm talking about. Larry Studs, how we feeling on Devontae Adams rest of season? Not overly worried about Devontae Adams rest of season. Like I said, week 1, not going to overreact too much with him. Replace Love with Purdy or grab Baker off waivers. Right now, Purdy is my choice. Obviously, we haven't seen him play this week. There's a good chance that he struggles some tonight against the New York Jets defense. But honestly, if I have to choose right now, Brock Purdy's still higher. Also, your first super chat. I greatly appreciate that for sure. Carrie Crossley becoming a member for the 24th month. Rate my team, 10-team Superflex. And 3 wide receivers have Cousins, Adams, London, Pittman, CMC, Hall, Ferguson, Waddle, Daniels. On the bench, you got Spears, Robinson Jr., Wicks, Shakir, and Jonnu, and then Bo Nix as well. Super solid team. It is a super flex. Cousins kind of did suck a little bit, but you got Daniels as well, and then you got Bo Nix on your bench, so you're okay at quarterback right this second. Tight end, Ferguson, so now you're going to have to pivot to Jonnu. Shakir you're holding on to. Wicks you're holding on to. Brian Robinson Jr. looked great. Tajay Spears going to play second fiddle to Tony Pollard. Overall, solid for sure. I think the biggest issue week 1 is Cousins, Adams, London, and Pittman. All kind of crap the bed for you. And Ferguson because of the injury. But you have other pieces that you can plug in. So overall, solid team. I'm looking for these guys to bounce back, though, in the next few weeks. Do I think Christian Kirk will get more action later in the season? Yes, I do. Is he going to be what he was 2 years ago? Probably not. Could he be top 24 still? Yeah, I think so. And then Christian Campos also says, Shaheed is available on my waivers. Drop Caleb for him. This is from my previous question. Yeah, 100%. Grab Rashid Shaheed, drop Caleb Williams because you don't need him, and then you have a wide receiver that is startable. Are we concerned about ETN's use? What's going on, Joe? No, not really. I mean, the guy fumbled away a touchdown, right? So, I mean, just like almost every other team in the NFL, coaches will punish players at times. Is that what happened yesterday? I'm not saying that for sure. Tank Bigsby didn't look half bad when he touched the football. He could definitely earn some more touches, but I'm not overly concerned that Travis Etienne still isn't going to get big-time usage rest of season. Am I stupid for starting Mostert over Pollard? There is nothing stupid about that in week 1. Rest of seasons, Ravens or Chicago's defense? I think Ravens have the safer weekly performance, but the higher upside that could win you weeks is Chicago, if that makes sense. Pancakes. Don't know if you answered anyone else, but should I worry about DK? No. He was covered by Patrick Surtain yesterday, one of the best cover corners in the league. Don't worry about it. Are we worried about Derrick Henry T-Money? Nope. If that was his worst game, don't forget Kansas City had one of the best rush defenses last year and will again this year. It was a negative game script. So in a bad matchup, in a negative game script, we saw his floor still be 10 fantasy points, which is great because we haven't seen the ceiling yet. The touchdowns will be there, so don't be worried just yet. Benny from Boston, what do you think about Bucky Irving? I love Bucky Irving as a player. Is he going to get a big enough role consistently in this offense to think about in fantasy? Probably not. It's going to take a Rachaad White injury. If we don't get the injury, maybe we see him in, games that are somewhat out of reach. Maybe if Tampa Bay is up by 2 scores, we see Bucky Irving a little bit more, but it's going to be really game script dependent. They still like themselves some Rachaad White. Trade Harrison Jr. ASAP. Not doing that just yet because you're going to get pennies on the dollar, Robert. We don't make trades unless we win trades. Guy the Allfather, what's going on? 1 point PPR. I have 1 wild card on my bench, which is Josh Palmer. Should I drop for Leggett or Dortch or hold him for another week or so? Thoughts? Being that it's just somewhat of a wild card, I'll switch him out for Xavier Leggett. He's a yak monster. Bryce Young has no time in the pocket. So to me, that means we're going to see a lot more short and intermediate routes. They spent an early round draft pick on this guy. Get the ball in his hands and let him do something. I think he has the bigger upside for bigger plays. Now, obviously, in a full PPR, Dortch may have slightly a safer floor, but we're looking for lottery tickets, right? So give me Xavier Leggett. Yes, he did, K-Mac. You're exactly right. He peanut punched it out. What's going on, Bon? I see you. I appreciate you. Peter, with Puka out, I have Scary Terry as your wide receiver 1. Should I start Christian Watson or Shaheed as your wide receiver 2? Peter, like I said, I don't know for sure. We haven't dove in, dove. We haven't dove into week 2 just yet. Now, if it's me personally, I think Christian Watson is going to be... He's already touchdown dependent, and now we have Malik Willis on top of that. So on the surface, I'm going to say it's Shaheed right now as your wide receiver 2. How do I feel about Olave? Not overly worried about Olave. That game was out of reach in a heartbeat. I mean, an absolute heartbeat. So it was not something that... what's going on here? People are texting me. It's not something that was like an issue. They didn't need to throw the ball to Chris Olave. They were up by 20 in like a half a second. Is this true? Is Christian McCaffrey ruled out? Is this true? Christian McCaffrey has been ruled out. See, we talked about this before. There was that risk involved, and that's why we didn't know what. Christian McCaffrey is inactive. He will not play tonight. Not playing. Get Christian McCaffrey out of your lineups right now. Get him out of your lineups right now. I have to tweet, hold please. I gotta do something. So many people about to be pissed. Get Christian McCaffrey out of your lineups. Hopefully you had Jordan Mason. We talked about Jordan Mason all offseason, the last month. Please tell me. Please. I'm looking in the chat right now. Please tell me you had Jordan Mason on your team if you owned Christian McCaffrey. Please. Man. Big time news. No Christian McCaffrey. He is out. He will not play tonight. I mean, this is the risk, right? A calf strain. We saw Joe Burrow start with this last season, and he struggled playing quarterback with it. I guess your bets will be voided? Yes, I'm sure they will on all platforms. Jordan Mason is a very capable running back. This is... Obviously, he's nowhere near Christian McCaffrey level, right? That's not the case whatsoever. But he is very... I think you could put anybody with any type of speed in that backfield, and they're going to produce. It's the reason we know names like Raheem Mostert. Jeff Wilson Jr. had something going on there for a little bit. It's like some of these no-name guys produce. Elijah Mitchell in his rookie year was fantasy viable in this offense. It's just the offense. So that's another thing right there. Mason or Debo tonight? Debo is about to get a big-time bump. If you have Debo, hopefully you're starting him for sure, because now Debo's probably going to get some carries out of the backfield as well. Peter, you're not crazy. However, I want to know, Peter, how the hell did you know ahead of time? You got connections in the Bay that we need to know about? So no, you're not crazy at all. But it's crazy like how your question was like 10 minutes ago. And then all of a sudden, Christian McCaffrey is out. So make sure if you have Jordan Mason, you're plugging in Jordan Mason. If you own Christian McCaffrey and you don't have Jordan Mason, hopefully, it's probably too late. I don't know what you're going to do at this point, because a lot of people, he's probably not available. If he is, nobody has any players to drop for him. Cole. Yeah. What if you have a prop bet with him? Sting, and if I had to guess, anywhere where he is bet on, those sites are going to void that pick. If it's like a 4-player pick, maybe they drop it down to a 3 or something like that, but it's not going to be like, you won't take a loss on it. Ayuk will get a slight bump as well. That I agree with. Wow, big time news there. Maggie, not panicked about Harrison Jr., but do we play him week 2? I have him in non-PPR with Puka, London, Dobbs, Pickens, Worthy, Thomas Jr. Which 3 should you play? Don't know for sure yet, Maggie, until we kind of dive a little bit further into week 2. On the surface, we know Puka is out. London has struggled. Dobbs, we're not starting. Pickens, Worthy, and Brian Thomas Jr. are all big-time boom or bust type guys, but in a non-PPR league, I don't necessarily hate that. If you want to play it safer, you go with those 3. If you want to gamble a little bit more, I put Harrison Jr. over Pickens. Juan Garcia, drop Adonai Mitchell for likely. If you had Ferguson, probably. I'm guessing you have some decent wide receiver depth, so I have no issues with that. Do you think Kittle explodes? We already had Kittle a little bit higher this week. Kittle and Debo were kind of the guys that we expected to have a decent day against this Jets defense, but now with Christian McCaffrey listed as inactive, that throws a big wrench into a lot of things. Does Braylon Allen get any touches? Houdini Weenie? Wouldn't be surprised if maybe, but it's going to be minimal, I would think, so he's not going to be somebody who's going to be fantasy viable. Is DK for Godwin a good trade? Honestly, I want both of those guys rest of season. I think Godwin is safer rest of season still. Tied a guy. Should I start Kupp or Godwin over Marvin Harrison Jr.? Haven't dove into week 2 yet, so I don't know for sure. But on the surface, I'm still probably going with both of those guys over Marvin Harrison Jr. as of right now. Kupp could see 15-plus targets again with no Puka. Godwin looks like a safe, reliable option in the slot. Like I said, we haven't really dove in to week 2 yet. Also, you can pick up Baker or Jaden Daniels for Jordan Love. What should I do? If you can put Jordan Love on IR, I'll grab Jaden Daniels because of the rushing upside. It gives you the safer floor. Gavin Diaz, should I roll Breece Hall or Jordan Mason with that news? I'm still going Breece Hall. I'm not going to put Jordan Mason over Breece Hall. Ezekiel Molina, going forward, who should be my number 1 and 2 wide receiver out of Pittman, Godwin, Shakir, Jay Williams? I'm guessing it's Jamison Williams and Jordan Reed. Each week is going to be different. As of right now, like I said, without really knowing a whole lot about week 2, Godwin and Jamison Williams are probably the guys I'm looking at as of right now. David 34V with a 50 bomb in the chat. David, man, I greatly appreciate that support, my friend. Full PPR quarterback Burrow. Running backs are Bijan and Henry. Wide receivers are Flowers, Debo, and Godwin. Tight end is Kelsey. Bench is Aaron Jones, Ladd McConkey, Palmer, Likely, Reed, Spears, and Jamison Williams. Who do you suggest what do you suggest I should do, and what position do I need most? You're good at running back because even on your bench you got Aaron Jones. Love that. Wide receiver, Flowers, Debo, Godwin. I mean, honestly, the biggest upgrade you need is at tight end for Travis Kelce, which is so crazy to say, but that is probably the biggest upgrade that you need. I don't know if you can get a whole lot. The problem is there's not a lot of tight ends right now that we know enough about to make that switch, but I'm paying super close attention to tight ends over the next week or so if I'm you, because you have an opportunity where you may be able to swap Kelce for somebody else who may be a little bit safer rest of season, and maybe you can get a 2-for-1 and use the Kelce name value just a little bit. But overall, man, had we not lost Jordan Love and you had Jaden Reed to add to this lineup, dear Lord, this is a great overall lineup in a full PPR league. Burrow is also somewhat of a worry for me. Maybe that's something you can do too. Maybe, is there somebody available on waivers at the quarterback position that you could drop maybe a Josh Palmer for to get a second quarterback just in case that maybe you can play in the interim until Joe Burrow and the Cincinnati Bengals really get their stuff figured out, if you know what I mean. So that's really the only two things that I see there. I know you have Likely on your bench, and he may be the safer option in the short term, but you, being that you have Likely, you may be able to sell Kelce for quite a bit here in the next week or so for sure. Yes, John, we have been talking about CMC being out. CMC is out once again. So once again, if you have him in your lineup, get him the hell out. If you have him on your team and you don't own Jordan Mason, why the hell not? It hasn't just been me talking about it forever. It's been a lot of people out there talking about it. Alex for real, 94 NC. 12-team PPR, Mahomes, Walker, Williams, St. Brown, Adams, Ingram, McLaurin, Miami, Zerline, week 1 total, 65.74. Bench, Charbonnet, Cooks, Dobbs, McLaughlin, Pollard, Warren, and J-Mo. I mean, overall, yeah, it was a rough week for you for sure, but you have enough pieces that I'm not overly worried about it just yet. So you have Charbonnet to take over for Walker if something were to happen to him. Brandon Cooks could definitely see more volume now with Jake Ferguson out. Dobbs is going to be a little bit of a downplay right now. McLaughlin had a huge role this past week. You have pieces, right? So I'm not worried just yet. Attaboy Dan. Dan snagged him up. Can we smack the guy that said Jordan Mason over Breece Hall? No, we cannot virtually smack anybody. Rab653. Love is out with no backup. Trade Mark Andrews for Jaden Daniels or try to get either Geno, Minshew, or Carr off waivers and keep Andrews. Right now, I hate to trade a tight end for a quarterback because once Jordan Love comes back, you'll have lost Mark Andrews and you don't need Jaden Daniels anymore. So like that's the biggest issue right there. So honestly, I look at the rest of your roster. If you have a team that you feel can go out there and still win with a Derek Carr as your quarterback, then I keep Mark Andrews. If you have a team that is already on life support in week 1 and you need a jolt of energy, then Jaden Daniels is that jolt. I just try to hold off on doing that if possible. Cody Winters, yo, Jake, can you rate my team? We got Mahomes, Pacheco. What are you, a Chiefs fan? Then we got Montgomery, Amaras. I'm guessing that's Amon-Ra St. Brown and Debo, McBride, Pittman Jr., and Mostert in your flex. I mean, I don't know what you got on the bench there, Cody, but overall, right there, your starting lineup is pretty solid. I know, Amon-Ra was a disappointment in week 1, and so was Pittman, but rest of season, I'm not overly worried, so that's a solid team for sure. Hopefully you have some good depth on your bench, and if you do, you could make a run. He's got gout flare-up. I don't care what he's got. He's not in the lineup. So, if you have CMC, it's been a minute. If you have CMC, get him out of your lineup. If you have no one else to put in his place, more power to you. You're going to need a prayer, right? Because hopefully you had Jordan Mason. Are you nervous about King Henry moving forward? Chris, I am absolutely not. If 10 points is his floor in a tough matchup and a negative game script, I'm good. Am I worried about Mark Andrews? I've been worried about Mark Andrews. Mark Andrews was a player we told everyone to avoid in the offseason, and I had him in our draft guide as a bust for this year. So I was already worried. Yep, the lunatic, he is out. Definitely not an athlete. Becoming a member for the 17th month. Quarterbacks are Purdy, Fields. Running backs, Gibbs, JT, Jacobs, Ramondre Stevenson, and Rico Dowdle. Wide receivers are Pittman, Flowers, Pickens, Khalil Shakir, and Coleman. Brian Thomas Jr. Thoughts? Trade for CMC or Puka? No. Do not trade for either one of them as of right now. If this is not a super flex league, I'm dropping Justin Fields and trying to pick up some form of depth at the wide receiver position, but otherwise, you're good. Andrew Gathright, what % of fab unlikely? Have Ferguson, no other tight end, super deep league, full PPR. All right, this is like an absolute need for you. And if there's no other tight ends that are even remotely close to being available, not even like a Colby Parkinson, then you're going to have to spend up a little bit. So honestly, you could probably go up as high as 45% maybe. I mean, I don't want to just totally bankrupt you rest of season. I would say 50% is probably about the limit that I would go. Are you worried about Travis Swift? No, because he was another tight end we told everybody to avoid this offseason. Tim Menzie. I have CMC. I subbed in Mason. That's what I'm talking about, Tim. But can also pick up Mike Williams. Who should I go with? Need 5 points for the win. 5 points for the win. I'm going with the guy who's probably going to touch the ball the most, so give me Jordan Mason. Chris C. becoming a member of Holden Chubb. Appreciate you, Chris. Alex for real, 94 NYC. Should I drop Dobbs for likely or Tank Bigsby with the first waiver priority? I hate to use the first waiver priority, but it's still so early in the season. You'll have a chance to regain it towards the end of the year, which is when you really want it the most. So I have no issues dropping Dobbs and grabbing Isaiah Likely. If I'm going to do that, I'm going to do it for Likely, not for Bigsby, though. Efren just picked up Mason. Dude, hashtag legend out there. Thoughts on Kincaid and Olave? Horrible week one. Not overly worried rest of season. Olave wasn't even needed. I mean, they got up so fast against Carolina that it didn't really matter. They didn't have to force the ball to Olave at all. Games are going to get closer. They don't get to play Carolina every week. But whoever is playing Carolina every week probably needs to be started. Oh, John, I can't sub anyone for CMC. As long as the Jets kicker doesn't score 10 points, I will win. We're all out there sending positive vibes your way, John. So you would better have DK or Godwin. Honestly, it's safer to have Godwin. Like, if you want the safer option, it's Godwin. If you have room to take more of a risk, then it becomes DK. Sonny, absolutely. Absolutely, for sure. Pulled Dontavian Wicks my last pick. Will probably drop him if I can grab Shaheed off waivers. Would you have held on to Wicks 196%? If Jordan Love is healthy, Dontavian Wicks is on my roster. Like, that's just... He may not be startable, but at some point, that guy is so underrated that when he gets a chance at targets, he's going to explode. Jason the Hole, I don't know why I bother with fantasy anymore. This is the fun of it, Jace. This is the fun of all of it, right? Like, if you always won like 150 to 60 every week, it would get boring because you're playing against a bunch of nobodies with no, competition. Like, it's the competition. It's the competitiveness that we all are really addicted to. Now, obviously, most of us out there are dudes who like to win and are very competitive. I am right there with you for sure, but I am thankful for the competition because if it was easy, it would be boring. Garendo or Allen? Give me Allen for right now. Garendo's still been dealing with a hamstring injury all offseason. I'm not about to have somebody else that's dealing with an injury in San Francisco. Yes, Matt, CMC is out. I believe, has anybody been counting how many times I've looked at the camera to say CMC is out tonight? I don't know. I feel like it's a lot. But I appreciate the heads up there, Matt. I think the injuries and the luck are more of a factor in recent years. Kilted Devil Dog, it probably is. But it's the same issue for everyone, really. You know what I mean? So it's not like somebody just has bad luck and they always, it's just the way it happens each and every year. Chris C, yes, CMC is out tonight. 843 times. Damn, Cole. I'm on borderline impressed that you counted that high. Not that you couldn't count that high, Cole. Not insinuating that. That you kept track. Not concerned for Amon-Ra St. Brown. I don't know if I love having both him and Jamison Williams, though, because you're very rarely going to start both of them. I mean, honestly, I maybe just shop the names out there for Jameson and just see what you get in return. I'm not giving him away, though, at all. Matt, I'm out. Jake, keep the great day going. Get more than 5 hours of sleep tonight. Man, I'm sure going to try, Matt, for sure. First pick, Blues with the Madden curse. Did you know Mason's nickname is Jar? Come on. I'm a dad, but that was a serious dad joke, okay? Too soon to drop Burrow? Yeah, probably. Now, if you have room on your roster, Roman Noodles, for another quarterback that can score you more points, then I'm looking at maybe not starting him, but I'm not dropping him yet. Is gout contagious? Wouldn't know. Only 24 times. Dang. Man, we kind of got sidetracked a little bit, right? The CMC news kind of threw everything, everything out of order. Alex for real also became a member of Holding Chubb. How many members have we had tonight? Does anybody know that? Let me see. 4 new members tonight. Anybody else want to become a member of Headliner Nation? You get some flex rankings. You get, members only live stream. We're actually going to have members only videos starting here in week 2 as well. You'll have a bonus video end of the week. So, I mean, obviously, got some perks there. You guys are really out there talking about gout right now? Gout? Like, is that the topic of the night? The Madden curse probably definitely is a thing. Oh, look at Chris C. He gifted a membership to somebody out there, and HM is the one that got it. Be sure if you just became a member to hop into Discord. All members get access to Discord. All you got to do is link your Discord and your YouTube together. Juan Garcia, becoming a member of Holden Chubb. Welcome. So all you got to do is link your Discord and YouTube together. So you go to Discord, settings, connection/integrations, add YouTube. And then you log into your YouTube account in Discord, and it'll automatically add you to our server. And the server is full of people that just want to talk some football. Ain't no toxicity in our Discord server. We don't allow it. I don't know how many people out there have been in other Discords, but damn. The fantasy football industry can be toxic as hell, and I am too old to deal with that crap. Look, David gifting 10 memberships to the nation. Regular Nintendo, which I have upstairs, by the way, gifted a membership as well. Awesome. Appreciate you guys. If you got a gifted membership, be sure to thank them for your membership. You have 30 days to try it out, and then you can always, continue to join if you want to. Drop Hubbard for Charbonnet or Bigsby. Probably Charbonnet at this point. I know Kenneth Walker's a little bit banged up. Charbonnet involved in this offense still. I got $50 offered for the OG Nintendo. It's going to cost a lot. Dude, I got all the old school Nintendo. I got the track and field pad. I got the duck hunt gun. I got all the games. I mean, it's popping upstairs. No one has gout. Can we not talk about gout anymore? Don't be concerned just yet about Kenneth Walker. We need some more news, though, about how injured is he. All online crap these days are toxic. Kilted, I appreciate you saying that, because I 100% agree. The toxicity all over social media, man, if I didn't have to do anything social media-wise, I would do that in a heartbeat. Do you know that I woke up Friday to all kinds of hate messages on my phone? Like, happy Friday to you, because Mark Andrews sucked on Thursday night, even though I told everybody to avoid Mark Andrews all week long, or all off-season long. Like, that's the kind of stuff I got no time for. God, so irritating. I will cage fight people if I could. I have McCaffrey. Who do I pick up? Rashida, do you have anyone that you can drop to pick up that plays tonight? Lit Nick in the house gifting more memberships. Now Nick is all of a sudden gifting memberships on a Monday? Nick, you out there. Oh, Kilted Devil Dog got one. RT Thompson, real quick. The Real Punisher, Joe Dub, you all got gifted a membership by the legend himself, Lit Nicholas. Nick at night, baby. It is nighttime now. No time for haters. Facts. How can I get into leagues where people panic trade Amon Ross? Right? Yeah, I'm not in any of those ones. Not at all. Lift one for James Earl Jones. Facts. The lunatic. Dude, James Earl Jones. Dude was a legend. An absolute legend. I'll to James Earl Jones. Man. That was some news today for sure. What does the lit imply? Constantino, we don't talk about that. We try not to talk about it in public anyway. I'm sure he talks about it all the time while playing video games, but not right now. Yeah, he's out there saying, be sure to re-up in a month. They're going to want to, right? You can put CMC on IR. Hopefully you still can, for sure. You should be able to because nothing's kicked off yet. Where's my son, Akeem? Marvin Harrison screwing you over? No, Nathan. Marvin Harrison did not screw you over. Kyler Murray screwed you over. Marvin was open. Kyler didn't throw it to him. The people is also what makes this channel so great. The community. I will definitely say that. We have built a community. You know, I've said this a lot of times. Sidebar real quick. I feel like our channel could be a lot bigger, like subscriber-wise, if we were to sell out to the toxicity and the hot takes and all that kind of stuff. But I am perfectly happy with where we are because of the people we have in the community. I don't need to worry about all that other crap. Like I love having the bulk of the people we have in this community for sure. Sloth. Appreciate you. Says, rate my team. Quarterback Lawrence, then Amon-Ra, St. Brown, Garrett Wilson, Jacobs, Walker, Schultz, Evans. At your flex is great. Cowboys defense, Zach Moss, Rashee Rice, A-Rod, Corum, Pirine, and Warren. Hawkinson in your IR slot. Overall, that's a solid A- team right there for sure. If I had to make any changes to it, I would look at an upgrade at tight end. Hopefully you could find something there. Maybe if you can pick one up off of waivers, you don't really need to hold two quarterbacks in a one quarterback league. How do you get a free membership? Nick, it is luck of the draw. It's all YouTube picking people. How you usually have a better chance of getting one is by liking our videos and staying active in the comment section. YouTube sees that interaction and is more likely to give the memberships to those people who are interactive. It's out of our hands, though. Nick doesn't, whoever donates, doesn't get to pick who gets them. It's just random, but that's what YouTube says they go by. Daniel Beausejour? Daniel, I'm sorry if I butchered that. First off, love the content. Hard week, capped with CMC out. Got Mason. Love it. Way to go, Daniel. Higgins, CMC, Ferguson, all banged up. That sucks. Adams underperforming. Any worry about Scary Terry moving forward? No, not yet. That was the very first NFL game for Jaden Daniels. It's going to take him a little bit of time. You could tell at times he panicked, tucked the ball, and just ran. That's going to be something that slows down for him as the season progresses. Let some of those deeper routes down the field open up for Terry McLaurin. So I'm not worried here just yet. All right, we got about 13 more minutes. No sellouts here, Lit Nick. That's damn right. Only the top tier info. Okay, goodbye, Jake. Hopefully the weekend was dope and you ate some sweet cookout Zaxby's or Bojangles. Did I? I did not, but you know what I did eat, Nick? I ate some Tickle Me Ribs. Or is it Tickle My Ribs? Tickle My Ribs? Hell, I don't know. All I know is they got amazing wings. And I had some of them I had a lot of them last night, if I'm being completely honest. But also won quite a bit of money on Underdog last night, so I was feeling pretty dang good. Is Kyle resting comfortably while you burn the midnight oil? Well, here's the deal, Mark, and I'm sure a lot of people have noticed this by now. Me and Kyle kind of switched roles around this year, where he's really focused on just the start sits and letting one person really focus all their attention on all that information, and then having the other person kind of do everything else. So I'm doing the waiver wire, the live show, the rankings. I'm going to have a one-off show that comes out the end of every week now, starting in week 2. That's kind of just based off of the current landscape of fantasy football, some trade targets, who to buy, who to sell, stuff like that. So Kyle hopefully he's resting today, because the next 2 days are not fun for Kyle. You like the Black Dolphins helmet behind me? You want to guess who's autographed that helmet? Who asked that? Or Anthony. Guess whose autograph is on the Black Dolphins helmet? Damn, why are we still talking about gout? So much gout talk. Yeah, Jeff. I just had one of my buddies text me, hey, question, does Daniel Jones still suck? He's being sarcastic. It's because of the video I put out today. But that's funny that it's kind of just like hung on now. No, it's not Don Shula. It's not Ray Finkel. I honestly, but I will tell you this, kind of has something to do with Ray Finkel. Is that a big enough clue? No, it's not Tyreek Hill. Tyreek Hill is on the teal helmet. You see the teal helmet down here? Tyreek Hill is signing that one with neon orange ink. That one is awesome. So it's not Tyreek Hill. Marino. CG got it. That's a Dan Marino helmet right there. Not Zonk. Not Jim Carrey. It is Dan Marino. Daniel Jones has gout in his throwing arm. That is probably believable. I can't even argue with that. Roma Dunze diagnosed with a grade 1 knee sprain. Not ideal. You know, boost up DJ Moore for sure. Jalen Thompson, are you guys going studs? Who dud this year? I think in my rankings video that comes out Thursday morning, I'll be talking about something like that, having to do with rankings of like who was the biggest disappointments or who were the biggest, mistake, who are the biggest misses, who are the biggest hits, stuff like that will probably be in the rankings video. The start sit videos are already so long, I have to find a different way to get that in there, so it's going to be in the rankings videos for Thursday. Yes, Drexler, don't worry about him just yet. He was wide open. Kyler just missed him. What do you think about buying low on Kyler right now? I'm okay with that if you can get him for cheap. Down for a live trade, Jake, with the card league? Like, you want to trade something right now? Mike, you did send me a trade it was maybe like a week ago, and it was for a defensive player, and I don't remember who it was for. But I would like to point out that I declined that trade and just picked up a random defense. It wasn't a random. I picked up a defensive player off of waivers because Devin White was ruled out. And I picked up Alex Anzalone, who scored me 31 fantasy points yesterday. That team that I have in that league scored 207 points yesterday. Was that the highest in the league? You're damn right it is. No one else within 20 to 25 points. Let's see here. Do I get the black helmet since I answered the question correctly? That's a great try. CG, great try. I don't think I can do it just yet, but honestly, I kind of feel like, now I don't know if you guys got into it last week. In the running back start sit video, Kyle gave away or is giving away a signed Christian McCaffrey mini helmet. This one right here. Man of the hour tonight. So he'll announce that winner in the running back video, I believe. And then we'll have another giveaway. And I'm probably going to start giving away some of the stuff in my office. I just got too much crap. I can't. My wife's going to make me. She'll come in here like, hey, we should hang this up. And I'll be like, where? I got no room. So, yes, CMC is out. I haven't said it in a couple minutes. He is out. Get him out of your lineup. Late night alum. Pick 3 out of Brown, Rico, Jalen Warren, or Lloyd. What is this for, late night alum? Is this like rest of season? For rest of season, I'm taking Brown, Warren, and right now probably Rico. Rest of season. Should I offer Mason to the CMC owner for Worthy? You need running backs. Jason, at this time, you may be able to get more than that. So I'm not opposed to you going and offering it, but try to get more than just Xavier Worthy to begin with, because they're going to be panicked right now. I'll be paying attention to the videos if you ever decide to give away the helmet. Awesome. I appreciate that, CG. Jaw with the hoodie. I sent a super chat earlier. Can you help me out? Weird. Did I get it? Oh, yeah, here it is. It was the next one on the list. Someone offered me CMC and David Montgomery for A.J. Brown and Kamara. Do I take this? CMC and... No. With the CMC injury right now and it being a calf strain, I'm not doing it. For right now, I'm just holding on to A.J. Brown and Alvin Kamara. I don't want to trade for a player who's injury is obviously worse than what they let on for it to be. So I don't want any part of that, because we saw Joe Burrow go a month and a half last year to struggle from the same injury. As a running back, it's going to be even harder. So no, not yet. Jalen Thompson, are you guys? Oh yeah, we already did that one. Terrence Turley, I see you out there. I appreciate you, Terrence. And then Lane Donaldson became a member of Holding Chubb as well out there in the chat. Appreciate you. Sean, that's why you picked Tyreek over CMC. I was the same way. All of my leagues, I didn't draft CMC. Well, I don't think I had the number 1 pick in any league either, so I guess that's kind of tough for me to say. But yeah, I mean, I loved Tyreek this year a lot. Who is my waiver wire must-have this week? The fact that Rashid Shaheed and Khalil Shakir are still available in a lot of leagues, I don't understand that. So it's going to be between one of them. Probably Rashid Shaheed as of right now. I know Isaiah Likely is probably the default answer if you need a tight end. But aside from that, that's probably where I'm going. Would you have picked CMC if you were number 1? I probably would have. Maybe not. Here's what I like to do. Maybe, I don't know if everybody does this. I've never asked others, if I'm being completely honest. If I have multiple leagues where I have like a number 1 pick, I'm not going to take CMC in all of them. Like if I had 2 leagues with the number 1 pick, or even the number 1 or number 2, and he were to fall to me, I wouldn't take CMC in both leagues. Like I try to have different players on different teams, so I maximize the chances of hitting on the players that I like and having good teams everywhere, instead of one player's injury affecting all of my teams. I don't like to have the same players all over my teams. Are there any running backs on waivers that are better than keeping Spears or Warren? No, not right now. I'm not going to go that far just yet. If there was somebody on waivers that was like a legit guy to pick up, I think I'd do it, Phil. But there's just a bunch of more question marks. You know what I mean? Yeah, a lot of people like to spread out their portfolio. Am I still confident in Amon-Ra St. Brown? Yeah, he's too good to just not be a part of games going forward. Now, is his ceiling going to be a little bit lower because J-Mo is all of a sudden showing up? That's entirely possible. But could we still see Amon-Ra getting right around 1,200 yards and 8 touchdowns? Probably. That's pretty doable for sure. How do I feel about my Cardinals? How I feel every year. Disappointed, Sean. I mean, it is what it is. Like, they're just not a franchise that I think I can ever count. Like, how do you have such a need at wide receiver? And then you go out there against one of the better teams in the NFL. You get out to an early lead, and you don't even rely on the guy that you spent a 4th overall pick on. Like, it just doesn't make sense. Like, that just, something doesn't compute to me. You know what I mean? And the fact that stuff like that happens all the time, it gets old. Terrence Turley, do we go for Alec Pierce? I'm not, because Josh Downs is going to be coming back here pretty soon, and that's going to kill the value of Alec Pierce. K. Scott, is it crazy move that I picked up Chubb? Nope. I picked up Chubb in a couple leagues, and as long as you have an IR spot. So I picked him up, put him on an IR spot, because then I could pick up another guy off of waivers for free. So it's kind of like in my most recent draft I did right before the season, we have IR spots. So I drafted Chubb in the late mid rounds, knowing that I could immediately put him on my IR spot once the draft was over and pick up somebody from the waiver wire that I still liked. So it's kind of like getting an extra draft pick. Kyle Juszczyk tonight. I mean, I wouldn't start him in fantasy football. If you want to take like a home run swing on like a DFS lineup or a prop bet or something, I could see that. Booze Rowney? Booze Rowney. Is the CMC injury that severe to keep him out of multiple weeks? Also, big smiles for Monday Night Football. That's right. Positive vibes, right? Positive vibes. Yes, it probably is. If it's the fact now that he's missing this game, it kind of tells me that I would not be surprised if he is, even if he does play in the next week or so, that he is limited enough to not re-aggravate the issue. Now, obviously, the doc is probably going to go into detail on this coming up on Friday. So be sure to check out his video on Friday, because I'm sure Christian McCaffrey's going to be all over it. But I am worried that it could be multiple weeks. Big Cheeseroni, rate my team. We got Lawrence Hall, ETN, Moore, Pickens, Kittle, Ferguson, Mixon, Jacobs, Williams, 2 tight end league. Okay, so you got Kittle and Ferguson at 2 tight end. Thanks for the impressive draft guide. Awesome. I love the overall team for sure. Stacked. You do probably need another tight end. And hopefully you have somebody else that you can drop or an IR spot where you can throw Fergalicious into it and then pick up somebody else. But overall, I love that team there for sure. Jerome Ford thoughts? I mean, I don't mind Jerome Ford. I don't want to have to start Jerome Ford. And he's going to lose value the longer we get into the season because Chubb will return at some point. So I'm not like excited about him. I have Mooney on the bench. Should I drop him and get someone else? It depends who you can pick up, Elias. Drop Andrews for likely? No. I would not do that just yet. Hopefully you have someone else you can drop instead. If not, I just roll with Andrews for right now. Like, we can't just drop him, have somebody out there on the waiver wire pick him up, he bounces back midway through the season, and you end up losing to him in the playoffs. All right, one more minute or so here, and then we will get out of here because I got to go get ready for Monday Night Football. I got to get ready. You know what I mean? Do you rate J-Mo over Shaheed and Shakir? Yes, I will. J-Mo is an elite talent. Don't forget, like, this is not some like, oh my gosh, where did this guy come from? He's a first-round pick. Like, he's got the pedigree needed. He just has had some sort of off-field drama or an injury for back-to-back years. Now he's had a full offseason, and the guy is uber talented for sure. Should you start panicking if you're a Amari Cooper owner? That's someone I would probably panic on. I mean, I don't know if you'd panic too much. Hopefully he's not your wide receiver 1 or wide receiver 2, or hopefully you have better depth. But it's not a Cooper issue, right? It's a Deshaun Watson issue because dude looks like he's never played quarterback before, and that's somewhat scary for sure. Hold on to McLaurin, Juan. Yes. Jake wears the tiny helmet every Monday watching football. What about my tiny helmet are you talking about? If I'm able to get Likely off waivers, do we start him over Kincaid next week? Honestly, right this second, without looking at it or looking it up, I don't even know who they play next week because I haven't dove into week 2 just yet. Stinging, that's what I'm talking about. Avoiding the Browns, Giants, and Panthers. Not a bad move. BK, that's a little high. A little bit. But if you have a large fab budget, it's not too bad. CG, I'm not concerned about King Henry. There's a negative game script, a very difficult matchup against Kansas City, and he still scored 10 points. So if that's his floor, I'll take it. 9 tails. So I missed it. Who do I pick up since CMC is out? I mean, I don't know who's available in your league. I don't know who you can drop to pick up somebody if you don't already have somebody on your roster. If you can throw Christian McCaffrey in IR and pick up, at this point, anybody who's going to play. I mean, Jordan Mason is the guy. Like, he's who's going to get the bulk of the touches. If he's not available for you, I mean, we're not going to drop Christian McCaffrey, so it really depends who you can pick up for sure. Survivor League pro tip, just take anyone playing the Panthers. Mark, that is probably not a bad strategy right there. Charbonnet or Madison, I'm still leaning towards Charbonnet. Should I offer Mason for Rashid or Brian Robinson to the CMC owner? You also have Eckler. I will for sure. Like, this is a great time to go out there and offer Jordan Mason to the Christian McCaffrey owner. But just try to get extra. Like, try to get more right now because they're emotional. They need something in 30 minutes. So they're more likely to get something right away and give away more. So I'm trying to get a little bit more if possible. If they come back and say, no, I can only do this, then maybe you take that deal. But I'm trying to take advantage of my stupid league mates, right? Hold Jordan Addison or drop for Jameson Williams. Give me Jameson Williams over Jordan Addison. I'm making that switch right now. Brian Dennis, thanks for your time tonight. Hey, Brian, I appreciate you for sure. Should he hold on to Schultz and Kincaid? No. I'll get somebody else over Schultz as of right now. Kincaid's got to bounce back. That offense needs him too much for him to just completely disappear. Kilted, I appreciate you. Amari for T. Higgins. I don't really want to trade for another guy that we can't really trust when it comes to injuries right now because he has no motivation to really go out and play. He's on the franchise tag, and he's playing for a bag of cash. All right, what time is it? 7:33. I got 27 minutes to get ready for Monday Night Football. Hopefully you guys enjoyed me going live here for an hour and a half. If you did, hit the like button on your way out. Leave a comment once the video posts. Let's try to push this out to YouTube as much as humanly possible. Because once the game kicks off, ain't nobody watching fantasy football videos, that's for sure. But hopefully you guys enjoyed hanging out here. We'll be doing this on Mondays. Is it always going to be at 6 p.m.? We're going to kind of play around with the time. Let me know what time works best for you guys, and we'll see what we can come up with. But hopefully you guys enjoyed hanging out here for the last hour and a half with me. It's time for some dinner. It's time for some football, and then it's time for bed. So I'm going to go ahead and get out of here today. Hopefully you guys enjoy the rest of your day. Good luck in finishing up all your Week 1 matchups, and then hopefully you're ready to dominate in Week 2, and hopefully it'll be a damn banger. Devin Simmons, love you, bro. Keep the haters off. Damn right, Devin. That's what I'm talking about. We'll talk to you guys later. Have a good rest of your evening.